Here I am with Professor David Kraemer, Professor of Talmud and Rabbinics and the Bell Librarian of the Jewish Theological Seminary. David, a couple of words about your theory regarding the significance of the order of the 39 categories of melacha as they appear in the Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat, and its significance for us today.
Okay. One of the things that's not often enough appreciated about the way a Mishnah like that works is that what appears as a list, and in this case it actually has a number attached to it, if you read it in a slightly different way, you'll find that it's a narrative. That is to say, the list recreates something that happens in a related way. So looking at that list carefully, these are not isolated acts, but rather they tell stories. And the stories are primarily three and a very short story making them four. The first story is about the production of bread from the planting of the seed until its harvesting, the grinding, production of flour, all the way to the making of bread. The second list is about the making of clothing. The third list, which might be somewhat confusing at first, looks like it's about catching and killing an animal and maybe to make meat, but they've already spoken about food. Bread is food, so if you look at it carefully, they actually are talking about the hide and the production of cloth, the production of parchment for the writing of sacred scrolls. And then at the end, very briefly, there's a description of the things that would be necessary for the creation of shelter. So what we find is that the Mishnah says that, in fact, what is forbidden on the Sabbath is the production of food, clothing, shelter, and sacred scrolls. When we hear food, clothing, and shelter, we know immediately that what's being discussed is the basic things we need to do in order to survive. Everyone, when they hear that combination, food, clothing, and shelter, knows that this is about survival work. The rabbis, being who they were, imagined that sacred scrolls were also essential to survive. So in fact, the way the rabbis describe these categories, it is about making sure that on the Sabbath you have none of the essential needs unmet. Right? So you prohibit on the Sabbath what is necessary to provide the essential needs. What this means actually is that the most important part of the Sabbath is the time that comes before the Sabbath, the preparation. Interestingly, when we look at New Testament narratives describing the way time worked in the early first century, the New Testament narrative describes Friday as preparation day. That's the word that it uses, preparation day. And this is because what the Sabbath is about is making sure that this is a day when all of your essential needs are met. The question then becomes, what are the times in history as the rabbis knew it, that everything would be provided? What kind of time does that designate? For them, of course, the answers would have been the garden, when God provided everything they could possibly have needed. The unique and special time in the desert following the Exodus, when God provided the people with everything. And then the last time that would occur would be in the world to come, the end of time, redeemed time, when everything that we will need will be provided to us. Of course, people who have looked at the way religion works understand that the garden at the beginning is like the world to come at the end. What we experienced for a brief time of special relationship with God in the desert was also about this redeemed time, quite literally. And so what we find is that in the rabbinic understanding, as it is created through their very categories of work, is about assuring that we have a time that we are not struggling with our everyday existence. When everything is provided, we are living in a kind of redeemed time when we can be in special relationship with God and in special relationship with one another.
Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, Shabbat Shalom.